These families have a lot of pride in what they do. They've gotten as much as they can get out of these barns, and maybe have moved on to a metal structure or something else, but they want to see it continue on, and instead of burn it down or just haul it away to the garbage, let's continue using what their ancestors, their generations before, have gotten a lot of use out of. As our European ancestors came over and started a life here, and they understood that oak is almost worldwide. European oak and American oak are very similar, and they realized that oak is a very good building thing. They also found that we have longleaf old growth pine here, which is very structurally sound and resistant to rot, and we have American chestnut here, which is also resistant to rot and structurally sound, very good building thing. So as they came over and started to make a life and build barns, they utilized these resources that America has. Unfortunately, during the Industrial Revolution, majority of the heart pine was cut down, river logged for factories, as these massive factories were brought up. And to this point in time, there's just not much left. And one of the only ways to get these species is to reclaim them. You have to reclaim them, is a lot of them are slow growing, and the quality you're looking for is that old growth. At the time when they cut it down, they did not replant the species, knowing that it would take 200 to 300 years to get a yield out of it. Also, American chestnut, which was around 30% of the eastern forests around Virginia and West Virginia, was struck with a blight in the early 1900s from Asia. So that fungus girdled the tree, and unfortunately at that time they realized it was spreading very quickly, and they clear cut a lot of the American chestnut. So a fungus will take it down. So when we go out, these species that are now unattainable, we get to still utilize them. They're gorgeous, they're beautiful, they're American, and reclaiming that beauty that you have to get from reclaimed lumber is just something that I love, and just get something out of it. You can't mimic the patina that you get from reclaimed lumber. The decades of. One thing that I found really interesting was some of the beams we got out of cattle barns have a natural roundover from the cattle as they eat. Their necks rub against the beam, and it's this beautiful natural curve that over decades of this animal feeding and rubbing and scratching, and you just can't get more natural and beautiful. The beauty of the tree, to me, it brings out a contrast, and to me, it brings out an idea. It brings me back to that time when it was utilitarian, it was functional, yet it was still beautiful. Many people have seen pictures of barns, or perhaps have gone out and seen an old barn. It isn't an ugly thing to see this natural, utilitarian aspect of it. It's beautiful. It's country, and it's rustic, and just has a warmth to it. It's not plain. The people built the barns. The first trees to be milled were usually the trees in the way of the barn. So you have a variety of species of oak, of species of all the trees. When we get a barn taken down, it's not uncommon to get some walnut in there, some poplar, and just some different kinds, and that's great. We love to see that. Not an easy process to go from a beam that used to hold up the frame of a barn into a mantle. It takes many steps. Piece by piece, we slice and choose faces and characteristics that we would like to keep, and patina that we'd like to keep and not lose forever. The moment we mill it, you don't get it back, and that's the whole keeping the beauty of it. So step by step, every process, someone is judging what face to keep, what characteristics of the wood we need to work around. When I pick up a piece of lumber and I give it a good look over, and I think of what I could get out of it and what I want to keep and what I want to accent and highlight. I think about the time it took and the effort it took to originally create that piece of lumber. The old steam-powered lumber mills, the hand-hewn timbers. I imagine two men with axes shaping a square swing beam. I imagine a community coming together and pulling up sides of a barn and pinning it together with trunnels. I want to keep that feel. I feel sorry that we don't have the American chestnut that we once had, and I feel pride in being able to bring some of it back and to be able to reuse that. Once all of the American chestnut has been reclaimed, I hope that we will be to the point where we are starting new chestnut with the fungus resistant that they're trying to breed into it. That is not a guarantee. So once all the chestnut has been reclaimed, who knows, we may start to reclaim it again a second time. It's that beauty is something that you don't see every day, and it only gets more beautiful with age.